day it is.
5 elected officials. With 9 JPs and 5 elected officials, we'll call a meeting to order. Surprised me, seems like it's awful early in the month, but we're having our regular monthly Finance Committee meeting today. We'll try to run through it first. I don't think, with all that we did last week, what did we have, 10 ordinances and 2 or 3 resolutions last month, rather?
It was full of our ordinances.
I'm telling you now, our publications expenses are going up. But I don't think we've got all that much that we're going to be looking at today for our regular monthly meeting next week. Looking at the budget, we're 67% through the year as of October 31st. All of you should have received your email with your monthly expenditure reports. Everybody's just rocking right along in the budget, staying nicely within budget. County clerk at a low of 56%, county judge running 68%, and everybody else in between. So we're just rocking right along with the budget. County general's running at 62% overall. County roads at 48%. Landfill at 51%, jail at 58%. So we're doing well within the budget. We've got a few orders of business. I don't think anything just super controversial. Let's start with the landfill for just a second. We've been doing some work out at the landfill. We've had Taylor Hendricks correcting the old Cell 1 landfill area, correcting the slope and the grade on it. And not an inexpensive project, but looks like we have failed to put the money in the 2019 budget for that work. We didn't know about that work when we were building that budget. So, Justice Byrd, you wanna?
It was just an oversight on our part. Most of you remember the contract was led, I think, last October, November, and it was for close to $500,000. Part of it was paid in 2018, and the balance was $298,119.58, and we failed to put that in the budget. Mr. Hendricks made a draw on that during the month of August, $121,085.01. So we still are going to owe him about $170,000 when that's completed.
But we need to appropriate
We
the
need
whole-
to appropriate $298,119.58, which is the balance of the original contract.
Are you pretty sure that's gonna be exact, or do we need to round off to 300, or how do you feel?
You can round off 300.
Just make a $300,000 in case there's a little bit of
There
overage
may be a little bit over.
somewhere.
There's a little discussion about an adjustment, so I think that'd be good. You
Judge?
think that'd be good, Judge?
Just do it at 300,000 to.
And that goes under permit modifications.
This was to fix to repair the cell that was,
The old one, the old mountain,
The old correction order we were under
okay.
old Mount
from
Trash.
ADEQ. Kelly,
It was,
I didn't get a chance to ask you,
Mount
but
Luxor.
there was something there under cell construction on the copy you sent out. Should that have been under modification? There was 320,000 or something. You and I talked, and
Oh, so you think maybe that's where they put it?
look, I think they probably put it under new cell construction.
landfill's on 54 through 59 in your payroll deal.
I don't know of anything else that would have.
Oh, the three, no, that's what they have done this year. That was some expenses, like part of it was for class four, like class one. That's been added this year, I think.
Oh, okay.
$350,200, line item 4009.
You remember it was some expenses that,
We've not spent any of it yet.
right.
No, I haven't seen anything come through on expenses of that nature. On the expense printouts.
Well, no, nothing's been spent on it. I'm saying it was added to this budget this year. During this year, it was extra appropriations. It wasn't anything that.
To cover like self-16, beginning self-16.
I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and look, but it was JP had the numbers here one day.
At the end, when for the new cells? Maybe the expenses for new cells.
Okay. I thought maybe that was this, because they were both added at the same time, so I didn't know.
I'll pull that one.
Okay, I meant to get with you, but I didn't have a chance this morning. My suggestion would be, let us go ahead and do this today, and then we'll get this cleared up.
Put it in motion.
I move that we amend the budget, $300,000 under permit modifications.
Got a motion and a second that we amend the budget to appropriate an additional $300,000 in the landfill budget under the line item permit modification to take care of the Taylor Hendricks landfill sale adjustments. Any more discussion? Anybody, judge, anything on this particular item? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, Kelly will add that appropriation ordinance, I guess. You know, we're at the end of the year, we're working on the new budget, and we're doing all this moving, particularly out of the Blyville courthouse and into the Burdette facility. This is a great time for the elected officials and department supervisors to look at and review our inventory list in your various departments and offices. 2 or 3 reasons for this. The auditors go over it pretty good, but it also impacts our insurance rates. So we really need you to look at your inventory list. If you get something from Kelly, please pay attention to it. And we need to update those and get them as closely as we can. Also, in that, Kelly wanted me to remind everybody to please start scheduling your budget reports. We've got some to do today. I thought for a little bit we wasn't going to have anything, but we've got 4 or 5 that we're going to go through today. They're small ones that won't take us very long, but we need to continue to move forward on these expenditure budgets as you elected officials can kind of get them and put them together. Looking at looking back at the expenditure report, nothing really major stuck out. No major expenditures. Judge, did you see where Drew Bevel charged us $500 to trim and spray the bushes at the courthouse that we're fixing to bulldoze? Are we not fixing to bulldoze all that?
Yeah, yes, we are, and I'll tell you though why we did that, and that's my call. We had there was poison ivy all over that. It was grown up, probably shoulder high, and even though we'll probably bulldoze it sometime in the next, well, it could be Christmas before we get there, but it was an awful sight, and
I just saw that and I thought, dang,
Yeah.
we're fixing to run right through the middle of that thing.
yeah. Well, it's just, I mean, with everybody that drives by there is going to have to look at it. I just thought it made the county look bad, and I wanted to clean it up.
Well, that's fine. I thought, man, he's sneaking in on us there.
Well, and we do hope to go ahead and drop that tower and razz that building, but there's a lot of things that has to fall into place first, like relocating the above ground utilities, and some of those things, it may be after the first of the year before that actually happens.
Well, be sure and call me before you drop that tower. 'Cause
Oh
I
yeah,
wanna
we're
see
going.
it. I want to be there. I want to make some bets.
All right.
Justice Fleeman heard there was going to be a beer truck.
Judge, where are we as far as the actual putting out the bid packages on the courthouse?
We did a pre-bid meeting last week for both of the roofs. We are prepared now. We're ready. Of course, we did a pre-bid meeting this morning for the new cell constructions. I'm going to say, John David.
Aaron's kind of moved his focus to these roofs for right now. We're almost through with the construction documents, but as soon as we've had to extend the deadlines on the roofs because they're so technical and AHPP's gotten involved. and he's wanting to make sure that we get it right. So we're trying to get those out of the way first, and then the drawings will hopefully be done end of October, and then we'll start those pre-bid meetings for the actual construction.
The bids were always set to go, let's see, what was our first dates on
November 1st.
November 1st?
Going down through, we're gonna talk to Ray Benson here in a few minutes about the extension service and their move and their budget for the next year. Their budget for 2019 is on page 34, and we'll wait till then and kind of look at that with him. Page 42 in the road department, we're spending, I just wanted to ask you, and I know you're doing something, I just couldn't remember what, with all the contract labor that we're using, Hutto and Roseberry. It's $9,200 in this month. Contract labor in the road department.
Hutto is gone full-time now. Those are just leftover.
Then we, I don't know Roseberry.
He's still a temp, I believe.
Johnny, what is he doing?
He's working with Hutto, I believe. He's still a temporary, but Hutto is full-time.
What do they do? Well, I mean, what's their?
They're on the mowing crew. They kind of pick back and forth where Tony needs his help at.
We're not broke in the road department, don't get me wrong. We just didn't, in looking at your new budget, we didn't appropriate anything in that contract labor, and we're pushing 12.5 now. Just, I look at everything. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, it was just oversight on my part.
Well, you didn't have a chance at this budget.
Yeah, but what are we debiting there?
We're negative 12.5, but.
So we're not.
We're just in
we're not
contract
putting it
labor.
to- Okay.
Well, but am I remembering correctly, I thought at some point we had talked about that there was a couple of positions that had not been filled in the road department, and they were using those as in the contract labor. They were not gonna, am I remembering that
Kelly,
correctly?
how are we paying?
Is that right? So that it would even itself out pretty much?
Yes.
Kind of, we're taking the money out of the salary slots.
Or we're just
basically.
simply not using it in the salary slots?
I know there was one salary slot opened on JT's thing, I think, and the judge said he'd like to leave it there even though it wasn't funded,
Right.
if I remember correctly.
I think we should clean it up, though.
I'm just looking at next year's budget as much as I am this
Yeah.
year's budget. I mean, like I say, you're not broke.
Yeah.
Excuse me, y'all. On the very next page, Brothers Truck and Trail, 16,000.
Yeah, that was we started a plan way back in January, and we're going to get about half of that plan done because of all the rains that we've had. You know, it's just now quit raining, and
Well, I'm living that life.
yeah. So we're trying to get the roads repaired. Right now, we're besides being on the east or west side of the county, we're also behind the levee. We hauled probably 250 loads of concrete over there to repair those washouts. We had a washout that would that you could have put this building in if it was 3 stories high. So it was absolutely amazing size what that river did to it. So, but you cannot go from Luxora to Tomato, and we've got to get the crops out back there. So we're over there helping them, and
Was this
but
truck
the
and
money,
trail?
the money was for a trailer that hooks on to one of our 18-wheel tractors.
That's what I was
Yeah,
asking.
Well, I was just telling you. And we've hired everybody that's got a truck so we can get the gravel out there.
Good luck getting trucks right now.
You can't. So, but that thing is pretty sweet. It's a hopper bottom. It's not like our others. And see, we had a a truck that we really didn't use very much. And we hooked it onto that, and you can get to where you're going, slow down to about 15 miles an hour, and hit that button, and those doors open. And it looks like a grader blade has swept it off. So it has come in very handy.
Well, you're only 48% in the road department against 67%
Yeah,
here. So.
and I have projected, that we'll come in $620,000 under budget by the end of the year.
You know, this is the time of the year, well, I'm talking about yours not being out, but some of these smaller funds are beginning to run low. Page 51, Assessor's Amendment 79, and I'm not, hardly is back, but not back. And it's not a huge deal, but like he's already broken that one. Sheriff, you've got several on yours, page 61 and 63, just some of the smaller funds. 61 is the communication fund, and it's a negative 23,000. 63 is the Act 1188, and it's 33,000 to the negative. I know that we balance all those out and stuff, but it's just something to start paying attention to. Wrote page 84 on Nucor for some reason or other. I don't remember that one. Oh, the Nucor incentive. I was just going to point out, apparently we did pay that Nucor incentive, that $1 million. That all got worked out.
We didn't pay it, then,
Somebody
You-
turned the check down.
It bounced?
No. The
Did we get it back?
The payee would not accept it.
That's your fault.
We
It's
think we
partially my
worked it
fault.
out, but they wouldn't take it, is that correct?
but we paid two.
We did go ahead and pay Nucor. Well, I thought that's what I thought.
The auditors, and I'm a part of that, Mr. Harrison, who is the manager of Mississippi County Electric, when that was processed, Cliff told him, and the accounting people there had a problem with that being done that way, and he communicated with Nucor, and to be honest about it, they indicated they kind of had a problem with it being done that way. It had been done in the past in Osceola, in American Greeting, but there was, auditors had a problem with that, and so the decision was made not to accept the check, and then Mr. Harrison and Cliff both communicated back with the comptroller, and they worked it out where it could be done another way. The check did not go to Mississippi County Electric. And part of the reason, and I had a little problem with it, simply because from a taxpayer standpoint, you look out there and you say, why are we paying an electric bill for a company that's sitting out there making millions of dollars? If it's going for equipment purchases or something, that's one thing, and in the future it will be where it will be something that will go through the county and for equipment purchases and so forth.
In all this purchasing and everything going on, and with the move that we're making, the courthouse refurbishing, our courthouse construction budget is on page 111 in your expenditure report. Kelly's working on a printout for us, but she's done a pretty good job just with this one. If you kind of want to track, and about everything involved in that particular budget of the moment just involves the move out to Burdette, doesn't it, Kelly?
And architect fees is really the only thing that we,
Very
Should've
much.
been an architect.
Sir?
Should have been an architect.
That or a dentist.
Either one of them.
Yeah, Revival Architecture at 134,000 right there, plus a little bit of bucks. Total down at the bottom at the end of August, $211,000, of which 134 went to Revival. But if you kind of want to see what's going on and how much money we're spending, that's a good place to be looking and talking. Judge, any remarks about how the move to Burdette is going and where we're at?
I think it's gone really smoothly. Of course, it's just like a lot of these other things we're talking about, is try to get everything there at the same time, and things get in the way. Our signage didn't get there timely, but I think we've managed to mitigate some of those problems, and then just people coming out there. But we're getting them up right now, and there's more to come. But overall, I think it's running very smooth.
Before we move to the new 2020 budget request, you've given us a handout
Yes.
regarding tank removal at the location down on I-55 and Highway 61.
Yes.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, that's what we had been working towards was actually trying to obtain the license that would allow us to remove them. And there's a barrier in the way that we can't get over. You've got to go to a class, but then you also have to work as an apprentice under someone that does have the license. So we're gonna do as much of this work as we can. We're gonna do all the backfill, and let's see, there's something else in there. It's all in these in this email. We're gonna help as much as we can to keep those prices low, but I think it's the thing to do is to remove that station when we're able to do it. We've got two members of the county, one in Manila and one in Blyville, that have teamed up, and they are helping to market that location as well.
Judge, we've had lots of people not only talk to our company, but to other real estate companies about buying that service station. It's marketable, extremely marketable. This appears to me to be a waste of money when they will buy it as is and pay probably twice what we paid for it. I don't understand why we're gonna spend $42,000 to
We're
dig
gonna sell
tanks
it.
up
We're
when
gonna sell it 3
we bought it with tanks in the ground.
Well, and I'll tell you, the idea that I have behind that is rather than to sell that outright, right, is to control what goes in there. And, if we could get a major chain restaurant to go in there, that would be a big draw and a big, as far as tax revenue goes, I think we ought to be particular about what we put there. And I think the nicer we have that thing looking, the better tenant we could get to go in.
Well, you got 7.5 acres, and I doubt if you're gonna mow that every week.
Well, actually, I had that, the south end of that spray. I came by there, I'm talking about the turf and
The lawn.
and the lawn. I came by there one day and there was a family that was picnicking out there that looked like they'd gone to Love's and got something, and it looks like they were having a very enjoyable time. So
I'll be darned.
my idea is to mow it every week and to keep that lawn, and really we're going to have to probably cut down one of those trees, but save as many as we can to have a really nice place there. And until we do get a tenant to come in there, then I think that it's the county's responsibility to have it looking nice.
The
I think
bulk
we
of
ought to
that,
sell it.
Do I?
I think we ought to sell it.
I don't. I think we ought to bring somebody in that's going to add some quality of life to this part of the county.
Well, you've got the corner on the other side of the interstate that's also for sale.
It looks awful.
It looks terrible, but it's for sale. So.
I think they ought to have to clean it up.
Make them.
that's
But
city limits.
That's
isn't it?
inside the
Yeah,
city.
that's it.
You're not asking for the money right this minute. You're just informing us.
I'm just making you aware.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's the way.
That's what it would take to finish this out, and then the county can do the rest of the work.
Guys, if you go back and look way back, when we were talking about possibly building out there, the new courthouse out there, that's right in line with what Aaron Ruby had projected it would cost to move those tanks. I think he put $40,000 or $45,000 for tank removal in the cost of the new courthouse project that we had proposed at that time. So the cost is in line. He was right on, spot on as far as that goes.
Yeah. And we're mowing on the interstate today, but if you'll go out there, I mean, that area looks terrible. And the lights don't work at that exit ramp or the entrance ramp.
Who's responsible for that?
It's not the county.
No, I didn't know if it was, I thought maybe it was the city.
But that station is the county's responsibility, and I think that we've got a lot of stuff to clean up around here to change the perception of this area.
The bulk of that 7.5 acres is being farmed. Dale Stewart farms that
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah, we go back to the sign.
Right.
Well, that sign's ours.
Yeah.
It has value.
Yeah, and I've offered it to the college. The college has helped us out so much with the Burdette Center that is trying to thank them, and if they wanted to advertise that new the advertising scheme that they've got going right now. They're using billboards now. But we do have income off it. We got income this year off it.
What's my fix say? How much is it?
$4,000, I think.
Somewhere around there.
It just, I just.
It's a little bit less than 4, but it's,
Didn't I tell y'all that we were offered 40,000 for those when we first bought the property?
You did.
Should you ever decide to go that way?
I'm telling you, I'm looking for, if we could get a Cracker Barrel in there, I think it would be a big draw.
It'd be great.
And I mean, we've had our focus in more than one area, but if we can come up with something better than that, I mean, it is a prime location.
I think it's just another draw to get interstate traffic off the interstate for a
Yeah.
little bit.
well, we've tried Cracker Barrel twice, and they're not interested.
Well, you can't beat somebody that doesn't give up.
We don't have a, well,
Just in regular, normal, monthly business, we still got some more stuff to move on to. Peggy's not able to be here today. Her husband is getting better. He is improving, but she is still required to be there with him and help him through his rehabilitation. Nothing but prayers and well wishes for both of them, and she'll be back as soon as she can. She did send me a printout. The one thing that she did want to note is that our county general has dropped just a little bit. We're down to just slightly over $1 million, where we've been running 1.4, 1.5. Hopefully we'll start getting some more tax collections in.
They are picking up.
Are they? I paid mine. I can't see it.
we didn't
What
have-
happened?
We don't have one of those.
I felt like it ought to make a buck.
How is the online tax paying
It's
go?
been really good.
Have you,
I did a collection today for one day and it was $6,800.
okay.
Now tomorrow may not be that much, but, you know,
It adds up. We're getting closer to October,
yes.
so. But we are down just a little bit in county general, in our rate. We're not broke, but be nice to get some more money collected in, and in the funds. Kelly, is there anything as far as, the only thing I've got is that one ordinance as far as business is concerned. Have you got anything else? Judge, do you have anything for next month's regular court meeting?
Yes, you talking about this
Next Tuesday.
next Tuesday? Next Tuesday will mark the first time that we've had an extended absence from the Bible courthouse in right at 100 years.
Wow.
So it'll be a memorable event, and right after that, well, the 14th, we'll be holding court, 14th of October in Burdette.
Where do you care for us to meet in our regular meeting next week? Are we gonna meet one more time in Blytheville, or are we gonna move out?
No, I think we ought to meet one more time in Blytheville. And,
Oh, we're really not set up in Burdette yet, are we? Forest 2 meeting?
No, no. No, we're gonna construct all that furniture ourselves. We're gonna still move the ones but in order to get from like a Friday to a Monday, and you're dealing with, people that's involved all over the state and then further out, and then I found out as well as I can build them cheaper than I can take that apart. So that was kind of the last straw, I was holding out to say, yeah, we can do it. But if there was a mess up, then, we'd be committed for circuit court on that Monday, the 14th. So when I was told that we could build it cheaper than we can take it apart and reconstruct it, that we're gonna do that.
There's a judges meeting that prior week there that kind of kills
Yeah.
court. There's
Yeah.
no court going on.
That's
so-
right, and we're gonna take advantage of those too.
Yeah. All right, so no other business other than to announce that, guys, we got 9 out of 11 of us here will be meeting in the Blytheville Courthouse, probably for the last time. in the courthouse as it stands today.
Yeah.
You got one more chance, Fred,
To do what?
to make another meeting in Blytheville.
I guess I can.
Okay.
Don't wake him up.
Any other elected official have anything they want for this next month's business? Then we're gonna move into our new budget process. We have 3 or 4 that we'd like to present. I'm gonna go through them real quick and just name them. We've got the county health, we've got the election commission, we have the veterans office, and we have Ms. Curry with the county clerk's office. Most of these are fairly simple and straightforward. Let's talk about the county health first. You want to talk about county health? Hi, Ms. Laura.
How are you?
Doing fine. Why don't you stand up and come talk to us? Or sit down there by the judge or wherever you're comfortable.
Last year we had asked for an increase in our maintenance and all of the building,
And we added 10,000,
and that has helped tremendously.
but you haven't spent it.
I haven't spent it all. Well, I'm fixing to. I've got a little bill I was gonna talk to the judge about to okay for about $6,000 to go get a
There you
new
go.
air conditioner that just went out. So, but we've been keeping our costs pretty good on most of the stuff. It's just that the buildings are so old, especially the Blytheville building. It was built in 1990. I've still got two, I think probably after I get this one replaced, I think I've still got 2 more air conditioning units that are original to the building that were kind of lucky they've still lasted. I've got a couple that when they've been repaired that they're like, okay, we've had to make parts for this, and this is about all we can do. They're on their last leg. So I anticipate probably each year, as long as I can, that I'll probably have to keep replacing an air conditioning unit, and they'll all be better off. We asked for an increase last year, and it included the maintenance back again of the floors. They do look a whole lot better in both of those buildings. We still need some painting done. That would help some, especially in the Blytheville office. I was going to try to apply for a grant, which was $10,000. But I have to have 3 estimates, and when I have asked for these, I can't always get them. And when they do show up, they start talking about all the other multitude of problems that is wrong with the buildings that would probably need to be fixed before then we paint. So the cost could just, I don't know, the cost could probably skyrocket on some things.
What about your roof? What kind of condition is it in? Do you know? Any idea?
It was the one in Blytheville was replaced within the last, I think, 5 or 6 years.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but it still leaks sometimes. But I think it comes through the vent things that are up on. I don't know nothing about construction, but I think when it storms real bad, it blows in certain areas. But I had asked the Sierra Group to come and give us an estimate on some painting. And Lord, when he was in there, he went up in the attic and noticed water damage, and I mean, it just turned into a pile of more and more bills. So I don't even know if he ever even got his final estimate over to you, because I don't know how much it was going to cost. So, because I can only apply for a grant for $10,000, and then the county would have to match $1,000 to put with that. And
all you need
I
is
know
3
just painting
estimates.
alone, about one estimate that I got from Mike Richardson a while back, that was not even painting the whole building, not even painting every office or ceilings. It was just pretty much painting the main areas of the building, hallways and bathrooms and clinical exam areas and lobbies, was $18,000. So.
Can you do a little bit at a time? You've got, looking at your expenditure budget right at the moment, I'll quit covering it up. In that repair, maintenance, building and grounds, You spent about 9,000 out of the 18. You got another 6 that you're fixing to turn in there. So that's gonna leave you $2,000 or $3,000. If you've got something you can use that on, I'd recommend you use it.
Okay.
It goes away.
Yeah. Oh, I'm,
Do
I'm
stuff
trying
as you-
to manage it and then seeing what I've got and thinking, okay, I can do this with that now.
I'll get with the Sierra group and then we'll start, I'll find out about the attic and the leaking, because it'll need to be fixed first, and maybe we can address it.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a couple thousand left and you can paint the outer office,
Paint the lobby, yeah.
paint the lobby, you know,
And
something,
Clinic hall,
then the next time it wouldn't be quite so.
yeah.
Well, and you could certainly go ahead and apply for the grant if you had the estimates, and we could fix the other
Yeah.
stuff in the
'Cause I've
interim.
gotta I've gotta get 3. I had asked Marty Crawford to come. Well, he came around and looked. I begged him for my estimate. He's never gotten it to me. The only one that I actually ever got in my hands was from Mike Richardson. So
Have you talked to just paint contractors?
I've asked people
Like Danny
to
Beck.
recommend people.
Contact Danny Beck, Joe
Danny Beck
Evans.
painted it the last time.
Joe
19 years
Evans
ago.
is another painter. I've got another guy's name, if I could think of his name right offhand, because he just did some painting for us.
Yeah, Evans, I know him. 'Cause
Matter of fact, he just
But
did
I've
some
had a hard
painting for
time
the
getting anybody
hospital
to
or
come and
doctor's
do
office.
anything. I've had the same problem at my house.
Well, a lot of time, right now, with the economy being good, the contractors are staying busy. But some of the painters could work you in, and all they do is painting, so they're not even gonna look to see what else needs to be repaired.
If we could get
I'll find that other guy's name and I'll get it to you.
okay, thank you.
In looking at your budget, comparing 19's budget with what your requests are, they're pretty flat, straight across. Is that good with you?
Yeah,
Nothing, no major changes, no major anything?
no,
Anything you want to add, Judge?
These are the kind of problems that we've talked about before, that I'd like to establish a fund in the treasurer's office.
Yeah.
It could be a modest amount, just to start.
But something to have to address those issues when they do come up
That's
like
right.
that. Anybody got any questions, Ms. Law? We take them, we look at them, and then we look and see how much money we got at the end of the day, and if we have any hardships or problems, we'll holler back at you.
all right,
And if you come up with something, this isn't a closed-end issue, you can always come back to us.
all right,
But thank you very much.
thank you. Is it okay to proceed with my estimate for that? That was
Seems
the
like
lower
the
bid.
outside of the
for
canopy
start.
needs to be
D&L
painted
was
too. She
about
could do that for
$1,000 more.
a couple $1,000 outside.
And
Make
he
the
would-
outside look
if he
nice.
doesn't have to do the furnace part, then it won't be as
I mean,
much.
he's right what you got.
Yeah.
I'm with
yeah.
you.
So,
Dr. Benson?
I'm saving my questions for him.
Guys, this is Ray Benson with the Cooperative Extension Office. We're in the middle of that moving down to Osceola. If you want to look at his current budget and expenditures, you can look on page 34 of the expenditure report. Of course, you see most of it right there on what Kelly's given to us, but if you need to go back and look at any of it, it is on page 34. Oh, what's going on, Ray? How are y'all coming with your move?
Well, we're coming. Today was the first full day there. I think utilities are said to be disconnected at the Blyville office Thursday. There's some items there that we don't need any longer that are on U of A inventory that they're sending the truck to pick up Friday. So outside of Friday, we're completely moved. We're not completely set up yet, but we're completely moved.
Yours is pretty,
Yeah, we may be the only part of your budget that's a cost share thing, but when I look through it, the only thing that is an increase is the rent that the county arranged with the new office. I don't know the details about that rent agreement, but
Who's technically the lien or the landowner, the rent?
Well, I signed the lease contract, but it wasn't set up correctly. I told Russ Thompson that I would, if he wanted to correct it, I'd sign it, but,
Who owns the building, I guess what I'm asking?
Soil Conservation District.
Soil Conservation District, okay. It's not the FSA,
FSA is a renter in it, just like now the county is.
just like we're gonna be.
Right.
So there'll be 3 offices in there, be FSA, Soil Conservation, and Cooperative Extension,
Correct.
all farm-related businesses.
it'd be a good match.
Yeah. Guys, in looking at their budget, you know, our biggest expenditure is the match monies that we give them. $120,000 that we've been doing on an annual basis with them. That's a minimum amount of money that we can give them and retain 4 agents. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ray.
Correct.
And then it's not that we expend that 120,000, that's up to the U of A. So if you compare the 2019 budget with the 2018, just like Mr. Benson told us, is it Dr. Benson yet?
No,
Close.
close, but yet so far. I tell my wife, all I've got to do is write, and she said, well, if you could skip that and just talk your way through it, it'd be all right.
Well, I know you'll get it together, but minimal increase just due to the rent that we're gonna be paying down there to move them down there and then to get rid of the building that we've got up here. Anybody got any questions of Mr. Benson, Mr. Ray? Any other remarks, Ray?
Yeah, one thing, I hope this isn't out of line or inappropriate, but the county replaced the central heat and air in the current extension office maybe 2 years ago. It was brand new everything, and so it's there. I mean, I would hate to see you guys just junk that, especially when it sounds like.
Chunk and junk. I wonder could we move that
Well, that
down
can
to
be
the,
I tried.
you
We
did?
had to buy actually 2. And I was trying to use that one or the ones up on the roof, and they don't just mix and match, so we couldn't do that.
What size is the health department
Yeah, that's
needing
what I
and
was
what
thinking,
size is his?
I don't know, but I'll find out. But I don't
If you
think.
did, if you changed both of them, you said that everything was new, the furnace and all.
Yeah.
If you do it like that way,
You do
it's the right
the same
size.
thing.
It'd be the same thing.
Yeah, you're doing a total swap out on both.
But you know, you can't put one too big in
Right.
there, and you can't
You
put one.
you basically use 500 square feet per ton. That's why I asked what size one that they have.
5.5 tons, I think.
Well, they don't make 5.5 ton. It probably, unless it's 3-phase.
Maybe there was a lot of very old things there that they had to try to work around.
Okay. It's easy to look at it and tell. You take the model number and tell exactly what size it is.
And it was a contract with D&L, that's who does all that.
Because I mean, if they're the same, if it's a 5-ton and they're needing a 5-ton, that would be great.
Cool. We look forward to visiting you in your new office.
Well, I'll be glad when we're set up, that's.
Thank you, Ray. Ms. Curry,
Yes, sir.
this is our first elected official budget.
And you guys better be kind.
Have we not always been? Never mind. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Keeping in mind, JPs, as you glance through this, where she's put her numbers in, that this is a major election year, 2020 that we're talking about. We'll not get into the politics of it, but it is going to be a biggie, I'm sure. Janice, anything really major that you want to point out, ma'am?
The only thing, and maybe I shouldn't draw your attention to it too much, but on the salaries, I did that, guesstimate on 3%, a 3% raise versus a 1,500 across the board raise.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see the difference in there, about like $3,000.
Looking down at election supplies, you've knocked it down.
And the reason for that is, I had that big number in there thinking that I was going to have to purchase all my tablets for voting.
Uh-huh.
I'm not, it's gonna come with the system, so that's why I knocked that down. But I may have to purchase some new computers in the office.
Is that the small equipment, that
Mhm.
$8,000 up?
Mm-hmm.
Does that have anything to do with the new election equipment that we're hoping to get? Or is it just you
No.
need new computers?
That's county stuff.
Okay.
We have a separate unit that we use, separate computer that we use to do office work, marriage licenses, probate, and all that stuff.
Your software up to date?
Somewhat. I'm hoping that I'm gonna use that $10,000 that I left on election supplies. I'm
Mhm.
hoping I'm gonna be able to use that to update my software. Or at least a portion of it.
Guys, the county clerk's automation fund is the least of all the automation funds. She doesn't have just an overabundance of money to play with in her automation fund.
Yeah. I noticed you didn't put anything for telephone.
Because I never put anything there, on those things, because I just let Kelly do
So it'll
what she does.
carry across?
Yeah, I let her figure out all that.
It'll be 4,200.
Okay, I gotcha.
Insurance will come across, if they're blanks,
Then
then they're just coming straight across.
okay, I gotcha. Well, the only one I was thinking about was telephone, because it said for
Now,
five.
you looking in
I'm
automation or are
sorry,
you
yes,
looking
I'm
in?
sorry, I'm in automation on page 3. I mean, every year she seems to have spent something, but there's 0 in the revised budget.
What is that?
I understand what you're saying about it when it just comes across, but
Yeah, see, we didn't have anything in the 19 budget for telephones.
she did, she's
And
spending money.
We had 4,200 in the telephones on our regular fund. So you
So
got
you
two
just move
budgets.
it,
You
oh,
got
I
the
got
general
it, so it
fund.
just moves, it's another one of those that
Yeah,
just
you got general
moves.
fund and then you got
Gotcha.
automation fund,
Gotcha.
the same thing. So, we're not leaving her out. She's not gonna let us leave her out.
We'll dial, we'll make phone calls and we'll just charge you to some other office, that's what we'll do.
I don't see anything wrong with it, guys. Do y'all
No.
have any questions at all? Anybody? Kelly, we missing anything? We need to grill her? Tie her hands behind her back? Thank you, Ms. Curry. Last one I've got is the Veterans Office. And it's just, Mr. Jim asked us just to carry everything straight across. Let me do point out one thing that I didn't point out with some of these others. This is the first one that really shows up. If you look in the Veterans Office printout and go across the top at the categories, the columns, you'll see, the fourth one over is the revised budget, and that's the 2019 actual budget. 2020 request is what the elected officials or department heads are requesting. But note that I've asked Kelly to add one 2020 with raises in there. And I just did this the other day, so I haven't had time to point it out to anybody. We've got to have a comparison point to go to, and what I've asked Kelly to do is to add a column in that shows $1,000 across the board raises for all full-time employees, $1,500 for elected officials, and 50 cents an hour for hourly employees. And I'm not saying that that's what we're going to do. It's just going to give us a comparison. when we get to the end of the budget process, then we'll figure out how we're actually gonna be doing the raises. If we can, and if we can,
Let's
can.
don't do that. Let's just give them a 3-point raise. Let's don't give it $1,550.
It's actually simpler when you give them across the board.
I know it's simple. Let's do that.
Anyway, that's the column that's coming in there, and that's why you see that, and that's the difference in there. Veteran Service Office, Kelly, he didn't want to necessarily be here today. You got any comments to make on his at all?
The telephone, increased that because of how it was projected out,
Any comments from anybody, any of the JPs, Judge, anybody on the Veterans Office? Does he serve as an employee of the county, Judge? He does, doesn't he? Don't you hire the Veterans Officer?
I think so.
I think he does. I mean, he's like a department head that kind of does his own budget, but
Yeah,
I think he falls under your purview.
I think so.
I mentioned the election commission a while ago as one of the budgets, but that was actually presented last week, so that's the budgets that we've had. I'm not sure what all we're gonna have for next week.
I need to talk to Harley before I do that. Harley said he would be ready next week. He could make it today. He'd be ready. I need to get with him before
Well, actually, yours is a little more complicated, and I know you've been pretty busy. I'm not gonna press you, but if you could, it'd be great. If you can't, it's okay.
Well, it's my first day of term next week in OCO on Monday,
Okay, all right.
criminal term. But I've already started on it, and I'm probably 80% through with it.
If you get it,
But if I
and
can
it works
leave-
out, that'll be fine.
If I can leave there and it works out to where that day looks like I could leave and be here, I will definitely be here.
And you have like, what, 5 different little categories? As you get some, six. Well, way too much. If you get one or
And
two
that's
of
your
them,
problem right there, isn't it?
if you get some of them, you don't have to wait and present them all 6 to Kelly at one time. She could kind
If I
of
can,
start
yeah,
putting
I'm
them in.
gonna
and-
get with her and try to set up a time when I can get with her and go ahead and get that ahead of time.
Yeah, good luck. She's been,
Sometimes, you know.
he's working
I'll
through that,
sit
so.
down with her and
Sheriff,
Yes, sir.
you're just like her. You've got several to work on there. And I'm not asking that you do it next week, but if you can start putting something together.
We have.
I'm sorry?
I have.
You're working on them? Any questions that we can,
Not really.
We're planning to have a meeting before he presents his budget.
never mind. That answers the question about next Monday.
I'll
Okay.
get mine ready, Michael.
You'll try to have yours ready? Get yours and Harvey, that would help. And then Kelly, suggestions on who else we might get up on? There's no reason, I can't see any reason that we couldn't have 911. What about Wayne?
Wayne's gonna be out of town. He
Next
has-
next Monday too? I thought he was out this Monday.
He is,
Gonna be out next Monday too.
he has scheduled the 30th.
Okay, that's
He
fine.
wants to come on the 30th.
As long as he's on the schedule. What about Mr. Lindenny?
I don't know, I have.
I'll call him too. That's another one that falls under the judge there. Any other suggestions, Kelly? Who we might ask to talk to?
No, I can look and see. I'll call around and see if I can find somebody else.
Okay, we'll plan on the county collector and the county assessor at the least and see what else we can kind of put together for next Monday. I hate to let the process stall on us,
I'll
ma'am.
definitely try to come if I can leave down there, if it's not too big of a day, on that day, and come back.
Love, I wish you would, hope you can, but we understand. I mean, you're a working elected official. We know what's going on, so, I mean, it's okay. Just,
And I do have an issue real quick. Like, I was trying to get it when I first brought it up, but it got brought up last week without me being here. I do have to set, I've checked with the law and I've checked with the Association of Arkansas Counties, because I do have to set a home base office, which I've known that law for a while, but my home base has to be where my office is. So as far as when it was presented that I was asking for mileage, I wasn't actually asking for mileage. I was trying to find out if it was proper for me to turn in mileage according to my home office. So I called today to talk to the Association of Arkansas County Attorney to make sure that because my whole thing when I brought it up to Kelly was that I want to make sure I'm doing right by what I'm supposed to do. Now that my home office is not a part of the county, where the county offices are. So anyway, I called to make sure that on that part that I was doing correctly, and she informed me that I would definitely, that would be my home office as far as what she knows the law, but that I have to fall back on the county handbook policy about mileage as far as the home office. So it is a question just because my home office is now, so I just wanted the whole.
Your home office is separate from the
whole
Blyville
problem
courthouse.
with that is I want to make sure I'm doing right on my part. That's the reason I even brought that up to begin with, because I want to make sure that I'm doing my stuff properly. And according to when I called to get that question, you have to pick a home office when you have, especially when you have a split district, which is what I knew. So
Your home base has been the north end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why that was brought up, and it was sort of, I think, maybe presented.
Not really.
And I wasn't
mean,
here.
all I asked was that we try to set some kind of policy for
Well,
everyone.
I wasn't here to reiterate, so that's why I'm bringing it up now, and I did
You weren't here
go
to
ahead and
fight.
call the attorney to make sure, because I just don't want to be doing something that is not proper.
Correct.
Because I don't want the auditors coming back on me
Us either.
for doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing. So that's why I brought it up to begin with.
You know, we got a
Because
real
my
clean
office-
auditor's report this last year. We want to keep it that way if we can in all offices.
So in essence, I do have to have y'all give me an answer about that. That's what I found out. Just whenever y'all want to try to give me an answer on that.
What if we don't?
I just telling you what I talked I'm just telling you what I found out today.
Okay, so be very specific with me, please, or with the committee,
Yes.
with the JPs. Exactly what are you asking today? What are you asking?
Well, I'm not asking for mileage for any employee or anything like that. I'm not asking for that. I never was. I just simply want to make sure that when and I pay my mileage out of the 25%, everybody, my recorder's fund, everybody may not know that. The county doesn't pay that. But the bottom line was, when it comes to me going places, I want to make sure that I'm counting my mileage properly. I mean, that's the bottom line is if I leave from my home office, which is now where it is, then I want to make sure that, whatever mileage I do turn in is proper.
All right, do you count the Blyville courtroom when it moves out to Burdette as being your home base?
That's the question. I don't know the answer to that. Legally, I don't know the answer to that. That's why she said we had to fall back on the county,
Now, this is where I was
The
trying to
county
get last
policy.
week when I said we need to set a policy, because your
Well-
office is the one and only your office is separate from the courtroom.
and that's why I brought it up to begin with. to make
So,
sure
and I said, we just need to figure out a policy here.
And she said something about looking at your actual policy that's given out, which I don't have that in my office. I don't have a copy of the policy at my office. I don't know.
Do you recall off the top of your head?
I was gonna ask Kelly, at what point do we start to pay mileage? Because I know that there's been times when I've traveled, I get mileage, and there's others that I don't. Isn't it like 10 miles or something like that?
I don't think it says that. I'll have to look at it.
Because I know when we met at the road department, I got paid mileage for going out there.
Well, quote unquote, right, if your home is Blyville and you go to a meeting in Blyville, you don't get mileage for that.
Right. And that's,
So you get mileage when you have to go to the road department, or if y'all meet in Osceola for the year. But the elected officials, that have offices in Blyville and Osceola, I don't think there is a policy, I don't think it addresses that in our policy.
because they have to go to both places, so.
They have to go to both places, so.
But they have to declare a home
And you
base,
have to
like,
declare
a home
I think,
base,
Ms.
yes.
Curry, in yours considered Osceola, and when you drive to Blyville, you turn in mileage from Osceola courthouse to the Blyville courthouse. The problem that we've got here that's different with the circuit clerk now is, is she due mileage to go from her office the 7 miles or 8 miles, whatever it is, out there to Burdette. Is that the question?
Yes, I mean, I just wanna make sure.
Can you
I'm
turn
doing-
that in or not?
I'm just wanna make sure I'm doing the right thing when it comes to mileage. And if I can't, it's no big deal to me. The problem that I have is that I've always wanted to make sure I do things the right way. And to me, this is uncharted territory. and
Exactly.
I wanna make sure that I'm doing right.
And so what we were talking about was this
Yes.
policy setting here. So apparently we need to review, give us a chance to look at personnel
And that's
policy.
fine.
We're gonna meet next Monday anyway.
Yes.
I was gonna say, I don't think there is. When I've read the personnel book, I don't remember seeing anything about when we pay mileage or how we pay it.
And anytime I go to court, my
Except for
employees will
what
be
she said.
riding with me. We'll have to move it, we'll meet up here, load everything up, and we'll be going in my vehicle. So that's, I mean, I'm not,
Aren't you all excited?
yes, I am excited about having a new courtroom that does not smell and does not give me headaches and sinus infections.
I did have a question asked, and I had to refer it to the judge's office about second judicial. My wife works for second judicial, and she was being asked, and one of the judges had her holler at me about, where are we gonna have 2 courtrooms at Burdette like we have in Blytheville? And the answer was, yes, we're gonna have the jury courtroom, which will be in the great big room that they're setting up, and then we'll have a small courtroom like we had on the second floor here, but that will be a non-jury courtroom, correct?
That's correct, and the non-jury is just west of that room. It's just, there's a wall that divides it when you come
Okay.
in.
So yes, we will have 2 courtrooms. They were beginning to set cases, for next year already, and they needed to know that question, so. Guys, we got one ordinance coming out of committee for next Tuesday night. We will meet again this next Monday here for budget purposes, and then we'll meet the following Tuesday night at the Blytheville Courthouse. Judge, you got anything else you want to talk about today?
Yes, I do. I'd like to get some clarity on this appropriation ordinance 2019-21, which was voted on and passed last month. It deals with the 827. It deals with our custodians,
The janitors, yes.
and if they work a 40-hour week, they're paid a certain amount per hour. And if they work less than that, well then it appears, the way I read it, that they're penalized and they're paid less per hour.
Less per hour, or?
That's the way it appears to me, and I'll, let me just pass this on down to you. I should have made copies for everyone. But here is, and this is, I think this came from Leslie. Kelly was a part of those talks. But it lists here on this paper here, the amount per hour, if there's 2,080 hours a year, and then over here if it's less than that. So, can I bring this to you?
Sure, yeah, Lord, yeah. We can probably all see it down here.
I thought it was just based on.
I thought it was
I
just
think
an hour
the
and a half
problem
before.
is that JSEP actually recommended less than what one of our, Kelly, if you remember, help me out, but one of our employees was already making more than the recommended JSEP, midpoint of the JSEP. Am I correct?
Two of them.
Okay, so what ended up happening is you ended up with, if that's the case, you ended up basically with 3 different pay rates.
Why?
Because we recommended that we start them at the midpoint on the JSEP. And one of them I know was making about $1,000 a year more than the midpoint of the JSEP.
Okay.
So that would have made his hourly pay rate higher than the other 2. And then, I don't remember, I thought we set them all 3, or the other 2 at the midpoint. So they should have both been making the same hourly rate. But if they don't work 40 hours, they're gonna make less than that maximum that we gave them. Because they would all be paid off an hourly rate.
But
But the hourly rate would have been the same,
is the same.
no matter how many hours.
No, not necessarily, because you had the one that was already hired and he was making higher than what the JSAP recommendation was. And our recommendation out of the committee was that we set them at the midpoint for JSAP.
Well, let
So
me
that
just-
would have been a
yeah.
lower amount.
Here is what, this come out of payroll. This is for just one, this is for the one that's just been hired.
Okay.
That's wrong. I mean, I can clear that up.
Can you? What's going on?
Well, Leslie, who does payroll, didn't understand that the 23,834 that was approved was only set for 40 hours.
Okay.
Well, our payroll budget that's in here, there's a formula in there, and it takes it takes the annual salary divided by the annual hours, and it gives you the hourly rate. She put that annual salary in there, which made his hourly look like $14.10, and that's not right.
Should be higher or lower?
It should be $11.46.
Now, if you look on the next page, it's got two of them at $11.46, one of them at $12.13, and one at $14.28. So what they should have been going by was the hourly pay, because it's. And do you happen to remember? And I'll let you look at this if you need to. The number one position, it's showing.
I got it.
Okay, so what is his actual? Is it that what is highlighted in yellow, or?
Yellow is if they're gonna work 28. The farm court approved to allow these positions to work 40 hours if they want to.
Right.
So that changes everything in our payroll system. So we have to know up front, what are they working? So we had that issue with the Osceola courthouse. 1 week you turned in 40, 1 week you turned in 32 and a half, and our system doesn't work that way. But those amounts are over here because it was passed by the farm court.
Okay.
But right now, as far as I understand, everybody's only working 32 and a half hours a week.
Mike,
Is that correct, Judge?
That's, well,
Is that what y'all want? That's between you and Janice and whoever's controlling these. How many hours do y'all want them to work?
Well, I'll tell you what we're doing right now in one case is we've got one of the custodians going to the Blyville courthouse, opening it up and cleaning it if they have circuit court that day. And then once he gets everything under control, then he moves to the Burdette campus. So the hours he's turning in, I'm not sure if those are the correct hours or not, but we do need to make sure we put something in place to get the correct hours.
Well, if you're saying your system doesn't work like that, then how do we have any hourly employees?
That's something that that's what I pointed out to you, Michael, back when we were discussing another department. The problem that we have is since we are covered by the same rules and regs as the cities are for Department of Labor. Technically, every employee here is an hourly employee except for the elected officials. They are paid a salary. Everyone else should be paid off an hourly basis. That's why, and Sheriff, I'm going to pick on your department. I'm going to tell you up front. That's why when he has people on 12 hours, he's working them 2184. He's working a 12-hour road deputy 104 hours more per year than his office personnel work. So if he moves someone from a road deputy to an office job, it technically should look like they took a pay cut. They should lose 104 hours of pay. Because if you don't, when you move that same road deputy or someone from the office out as a road deputy, now they get paid less for working 104 hours more. Because it's all based off of a set salary. This is a problem with, and I don't know, I know y'all are looking at new software. This is a problem with her software because it is strictly based off of a salary.
Janice, how many hours is the custodian working down south?
32.5.
32 and a half. Is that suitable? Is that good? Is that plenty?
Well, my understanding when we passed that ordinance was that the judge came in and talked about, we had one individual that was working more than 32.5 hours. And he wanted to adjust that up to 40 hours. I assumed that they took the hourly rate that he was working at 32.5 and extrapolated it out to 40 hours.
We did.
Okay. And then the other people that were hired, they were okayed up to 40 hours, but I assumed it would be based on the hourly rate that they were making, the ones that were already on the payroll. Was that a wrong assumption, or?
No, it's just Leslie got it wrong.
Okay.
I don't know what
And-
else to say. But
and
she
with
took
your-
she took the annual salary that was approved, and she gave it to him based on a 1690 annual year.
When he actually
And
doesn't
it's-
work that many.
No, he actually worked 1690, but that raised his hourly rate.
Whereas it shouldn't.
So when we actually had to take him down to 1690 hours, because he's not working 40, then his salary got decreased. So,
So in other words, we overpaid him for a couple of paydays, or?
well,
No, he actually worked over, but we hadn't decided then if he was gonna work 40 hours or if he was gonna work 32.5, because we were in the process of deciding, because, you know, they said to ask them what they wanted to work. But if we didn't need them that full 40 hours.
And you know, I didn't understand that the software was so rigid. And I was thinking we may work sometimes a year more. And
That's what I thought too. I thought he would just get paid the
Well, I mean,
hourly
you know,
rate no matter.
based on what they work, that's how your accruals, your vacation, your sick, I mean, you know, you need to be set at something so that your accruals are correct. And, I mean, when people are going back and forth, that's,
Well, and if your software is set up to do that for you, all you should have to do is plug in the number of hours they work. It should extrapolate out everything and figure that for you. It sounds, from what you've described to me, your software is set up as basically a salary type thing. It doesn't, you don't even have to put in the number of hours, do you?
no, unless it's like a part-time person or if something changes, like if you're on vacation sick, the new software's like that too.
But it has an option of doing it by the hour, correct?
Yes,
You can go either way.
you can go either way.
But
So
based
that-
on all the things we look at and everything, and when we see the budget and everything, it looks like it should be set up more on an hourly basis rather than on an annual salary.
Well, I mean, that's not a question for me. The annual salaries are what is approved by the foreign court.
Well, but what,
We just have to figure what their hourly is based on what they work, and every department's different.
well, it's just like, I told you this. And I pick on the sheriff's office because they're the easiest ones because they've got different ranks. A lieutenant working in patrol or CID or in the jail should make the same hourly rate across the board. Now, the only reason that there would be a difference is if you have someone may have been there for 25 years versus somebody who just started. But I don't think they even have step increases in that realm right there. But if a sergeant is working, we'll say in CID, he's getting 80 hours a year. If he goes to patrol, he's now going to work 84 hours a year. And if you don't keep that hourly rate at the same rate so that his pay bumps up when he's working those extra hours, then technically we're in violation of labor
But he
law.
would be, but if he moves from department to department, he's moving slots. He's not so, and that slot with that annual salary and hourly wage is already set. So
Well,
it should
okay.
not, I mean,
But
you should be
here's-
adjusting time up and down.
Well, yes, you would, because That's the problem we got in the city. Believe me, we got hit with a labor department investigation.
Well, but the slot's already set.
Well, your slot may be set, but what you do is you set an annual salary, and that annual salary also includes a hourly rate.
Right.
You can set them all at $21.84 with an annual salary of a certain amount. But if he's making, we'll just say $10, we'll just take this, $10 an hour. If he works $21.84, then he gets paid for 104 more hours. If he's working $20.80, he only gets paid for the $20.80.
But you're saying he's
And in
moving.
the sheriff's department, well, but here's the other side of it. In the sheriff's department, his people that work in the office, even his officers that work in the office, $21.84 is their cutoff for overtime. Until his officers work more than 86 hours in a single pay period, they don't get paid an overtime rate.
But I understand, but what you're saying is they're moving from one job description to a different job description. That should be
Okay.
their choice.
Well, that's the administration's choice.
Well, when he offers them the change in job description, it should not necessarily, they shouldn't stay in the same spot.
Well,
They should move.
The same
Yeah, they
pay,
should move.
the pay,
Yeah.
the same pay rate applies for everybody who is a sergeant, everybody who's a lieutenant, everybody who's a captain, and everybody who's a major. They all get the same pay rate. It depends on the number of hours they work. When I was a captain with Blythe Police Department, if I worked 86 hours in a paycheck, I got 86 hours of straight time pay. When I hit the 87th hour, I got overtime. And they were saying, at one point in time, they tried to say the captains were part of administration. Labor Board looked at it and said, oh no. The only one in this department that gets a salary is the chief. It's basically the same thing here. The elected officials are at a set pay rate. Everybody else is supposed to be an hourly employee.
So let's go back to the janitor problem. We've gotten
Well,
away.
before you go there, can we do, say for example, in my office, chief deputies, can all the chief deputies make the same amount? They do the same job.
That would,
I thought they were supposed to be making the same.
They did.
No, chief deputies make, but deputy clerks,
Oh,
all of them make the same amount?
well, that all depends on your job description for them. Because that's where the JSEP comes up with it. It's just like, we've talked about this before. The JSEP bases it off of a job description. And they compare your job description with everybody else's.
JSAP makes recommendations. Now, we set the salaries.
That's right. But we generally use that as our guide. So, I'm not going to sit here and say, because one person in your office may not do the same thing that everybody else does. That's your call.
So what we
That's-
need, am I understanding what we need? You can fix it. Is that right? You can,
On the janitors?
yes.
What do you want
I
fixed,
have
Judge?
to go by the ordinance. So if it needs to be changed, I can't fix that.
What would you like to see? What do you perceive as the problem, and how would you like for us to?
Well, it sounds like the software is rigid. That's what it sounds like. We need more flexibility, but we're not gonna get it.
Well, what you're asking us to do is to,
Have different hours.
hand key in different hours for 200 people, which just leaves room for error. Your software's supposed to make everything easier, and it does if the right information is put in there. This is a case of the ordinance was a set amount for a certain amount of hours. This employee isn't working those hours, so his salary is less. If it needs to be changed,
We need to change the
the
ordinance.
ordinance has to be changed. Now,
but
if you're
that's
talking
not-
about.
I see what you're saying. If they have if they all decide they're going to work 32 and a half hours and you adjust it to work that's the way it should be.
That's the only thing I can do.
Okay.
Now, if you're talking about wanting him to work different hours every week, that is something that, I mean, we can do, we don't wanna do
He
it, but
changed
we
the
can do it.
positions.
Did they move
But that's just
Okay.
gonna, it's gonna create
No, he
switches
changed
in
the
the
Okay.
rules and, you know, leave room for error, but hey.
Let's sit down and we'll look at it.
If we can, yeah, if we can get through it, let's leave the ordinance then like it is, and I'll get closer with Kelly and find out.
We need to decide which ones are gonna work how many hours. And then she can put that in the computer and it will automatically do
Yeah,
it.
see, like I said, I was just going, I thought there was enough flexibility, just like in the winter
Well, I
months.
did too.
Someone would have to get there when we were in the Bible building and turn the furnace on. You know.
Well, that was what I assumed, because I didn't realize when we started talking about all this, how rigidly her software is set
Yeah,
up.
and then, right now, we got Benny that's going to the Bible courthouse and opening up
Right.
before they get there, and then moving. After we get past the 14th, it'll be, you know, a lot of the dust will settle.
Don't bring that up. I don't think so. I haven't seen it.
Well, really, Kelly, there hasn't been any problem other than this one time. I mean, there's no things, has there?
Never mind.
I mean, there's not any problems that I know of, it's just that,
You just need to correct those three down to
we already
32.5.
did,
Okay.
yeah,
You correct them down to, all three of them are 32.5?
all four of them.
Four of them. Are we spending $100,000 yet on janitor services?
Well, we're at 83 something just for the salary part, that's not including insurance or.
Could get to the point we may be better off contracting all this out anyway. I mean, if we're at 83 on salaries and then you add in retirement, insurance, and
And that's if
cetera,
they work 32 and a half.
then we're in six figures.
Well, now I don't know what you mean by contracting out, but we're spending money really in places, just like when I was telling you, when we had to change the light bulbs in this building. And there's nobody to do it. So, and we've run into more than that instance to where it's. just
Wasn't that
like-
another one of those things that fell under you that?
Well, I mean, who do you call, you know, when you got a dozen light bulbs?
We should buy the judge a ladder.
That's what we did at Osceola.
What's that?
I changed the lights.
Change your own light bulb?
Yes.
I changed them in my office.
We'll sit down and talk.
Okay. We'll make it work. We don't want to hurt anybody. I don't think anybody here wants to hurt anybody. We just got to figure out how to do it the right way with the software and make it fair and
Right.
make sure that Leslie understands also.
Yeah.
So
And we've spent 30 minutes talking on this, so let's make an ordinance.
let's make an ordinance, just no more talk.
Yeah.
Judge, you got anything else?
We got a really good report from ADEQ last week when they
On
made
the
a
landfill?
surprise visit. The place looks very nice. It looks like a golf course out there.
We're gonna come visit, bring our clubs.
That's right, and a picnic basket. And also, this week, we've got Tadzo in town. The stakeholders meetings this week, Manila tomorrow. And I believe the time is 4:30, 6:30, I believe, at the community center. We've also got one in Liable and one in Osceola. We encourage everybody to be at, and then plus the strategic and insights presentation. So we got a lot going on with them. I think this is really going to be a good thing for the county to get involved in more ways than one.
So the Manila meeting is tomorrow,
Yes,
okay, 4:30,
4:30.
okay.
I'm gonna be out of town tomorrow. I'm family funeral, so I won't be able to make that.
Well, if we can call and make sure that we've
Is that at the airport center or
The Manila Community Center is what it says on the list.
Yeah, that'd be the airport center
The
then.
Bible meeting is at the college, right?
It's at the
8
Governor's
o'clock.
Ballroom, yes, 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And they're all gonna be pretty much the
Tomorrow?
same meeting, so if you miss one.
Wednesday.
just make it up.
There you go.
When's Osceola?
I just would like to make one in my
I
hometown.
think those are all.
But outside that, I'll call Sharps Heating and Air and I'll see if we can make the unit over there of any use to us, even though I'm kind of doubting it, but it's worth a shot. And otherwise, we'll get
Sometime
someplace.
Wednesday, I think.
So for tomorrow,
The chamber.
for the meeting for Tadzo tomorrow, it's gonna be 4:30 to 6:30 at the Manila Community Center.
Okay.
And then on Wednesday, it'll be from 8 to 10 a.m. at the Governor's Ballroom. But I think they said something about their air conditioning having some problems, so they're probably gonna have to get back to us on that. And then on the 18th, that same Wednesday, later at 3 to 5, it'll be at the Civic Center in Osceola.
Ollendorf building.
Okay, I might try to make that.
The more people that turn out and the more input we got, the better data we'll have at the end of it.
Justice Sash, you mentioned a Fire Police and Safety Committee. Have you got a meeting set?
Don't have a date yet, but I'm gonna try to set one here shortly so that we can discuss several things.
Justice Fleeman, you had mentioned to me personally the other day that you might want to do something with the Road Bridge
I was
Committee.
just fixing to ask the judge, just for information purposes,
Play catch-up.
yeah,
About what?
road department.
Road and Bridge Committee meeting. Justice Fleeman had mentioned to me he'd like to call one just
I
to,
wish you would, because we've done a bunch of stuff.
just to get an
Let's
update,
call it-
let everybody know what's going on.
Yeah, that's all, I got no problems. Matter of fact, I'm pretty proud of the way the roads are beginning to look.
And sometimes we meet out there and sometimes we meet up here on that road committee. It's between you two.
Okay. Cindy, we'll get together on that this afternoon before the end of the day. Have you got a particular day in mind?
Well, it's this week pretty much taken up, it sounds like.
It is.
Busy. Yeah. Tad's
And
on.
because of that, next week I was supposed to be in Benton for the judges meeting and I canceled that. So, in fact, I just got my reservations taken, so I'm gonna be here.
Well,
Have a
y'all can do
meeting
the one
with-
call whenever you get your meeting set.
Sometime next week. Any particular, one day better than another?
Tuesday for me.
Tuesday.
Would work, yeah.
Okay. We'll try to do that.
Tuesday of next week is our regular quorum
It
court.
sure is, isn't it? Wednesday of next week.
And
Okay.
the bids on the
It's Angie's birthday.
projects at
Well,
the
we'll say happy
landfill
birthday to
are
Nancy.
due in on the 30th. Bid opening on the 30th
For the sales.
for the two
And
sales.
let's do it now.
I still
Do
gotta
what?
go out there and look at it. I still
Down
haven't.
there. That suits you.
At the road
We're gonna
department?
grudge cattle on
Okay.
that.
That'll be at the road
Yeah.
department.
You can get golf balls off the top of that any direction now. They'll fly.
Next Wednesday. I jumped right
It
up.
really, that place looks like a different
One-
place.
Can we raise cattle?
1:30.
Justice Fleeman,
If they'll let you.
1:30. Yeah,
1:30
They'll
Wednesday.
let you.
Wednesday, yes.
I can't do, okay, I can't, I don't
Go
think
see
I
it.
can do
It's
that.
unbelievable how much it's
I have
shaped
to
up.
lie.
At the,
At the road
We
department.
just
Next
gotta figure out how to get,
There you
I just
have to
hope
have
the bids
7.
are in
You
line
get
now.
close to the jail
won't
down
be
there,
there.
we'll find you.
I mean, we got somebody that
Have an eye doctor, it's only been in for Saturday.
needs good bids. Only had 2 bidders.
I'll
I'll show up
I'll
today.
They already got me.
We'll see how it goes.
Hey,
Ju-
till I pull that car and say, I'm the justice.
Judge Justice Bird just let me know that we have a bid opening on some of the construction projects out at the landfill on September 30th.
Correct.
Bid openings. Just FYI.
I guess,
and going, you're talking about for the new cell construction?
yes, sir.
And I'll tell you, our staff met the other day and talked about that. We're gonna pay very close attention to that. It's quite possible that we would be able to put, maybe the next 4 in ourselves. So, we're going over some options.
Sheriff, did you have anything for us before we get out here? We're fixing to book.
I'm ready to book too.
Guys, nobody else, we'll call it for next Monday. Thank you.
Got a question for you.
Yes.
October the 19th, I'm gonna have several folks coming in with my sister's son.
Are you?